Very much welcome to our OKR webinar, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever you are in the world. Our webinar is an introduction to our approach of OKRs. We will be covering the foundation of OKRs, strong versus weak OKRs, or less than optimal OKRs versus stronger or more optimal OKRs. And then we'll also clearly differentiate between OKRs and KPIs. That's often creates doubt. What is the difference actually, and how do we apply it during an implementation? And should we be using both? That's often questions that we do get. OKRs have helped us to 10x growth many times over. But Larry Page also said that it's down to a values-based culture and the presence of strong leadership to be successful at OKRs. A quick history of goal setting. In the late 60s, we saw the emergence of management by objectives, made famous by a gentleman called Peter Drucker. In the early 80s, and still to this day, but in the early 80s, we saw the creation of SMART goals and a focus thereon, mainly through KPIs, key performance indicators. And then we saw a balanced scorecard becoming very popular in the early 1990s and onwards, and still a large number of huge organizations still uses balanced scorecard. Few know that OKRs were already created in the late 70s, but gained popularity through the use of Google of OKRs, late 1990s, still to this day. OKRs are definitely not new, but they have become best practice in most large organizations. In the late 70s, we saw Andy Grove creating OKRs through Operation Crush. Now, that was an apt name because that operation was designed to crush the opposition, which was Motorola at that point in time, and they achieved the outcome of the desired outcome of that operation through the use of OKRs. John Doerr was a student of Andy Grove at Intel and became the consultant that did introduce OKRs to Google. Google made OKRs famous, although it was already in use since the 70s. But still to this day, you can ask any Googler, do you have personal OKRs? They are very likely to say yes. Now, a screenshot of famous companies that are deploying OKRs or have been deploying OKRs very successfully. And I just want to glance over Netflix for a moment. Now, Netflix famously used OKRs to create a strategic choice between streaming other studios' content and creating their own original content, and the rest is history. Also, the likes of Microsoft, Google, Samsung, BMW effectively using OKRs. Now, there are several pain points that many organizations face and share collectively. A performance culture change. We need to be mindful of the culture dynamics as we deploy OKRs and need to continuously discuss that at strategic level when we conduct our OKR reviews. Misalignment of strategies, a huge issue. We often see discrepancies between the creation of OKRs at the highest level of the company linked to strategy, but also then how to execute the strategy becomes an issue. But through OKRs, we can create a bridge or a link between strategy and the ultimate action plan. Output thinking. I don't know what your current level of experience is around OKRs, but in most cases, when companies or individuals and teams are new to OKRs, they tend to struggle initially to draft outcome-focused OKRs and instead draft task lists. Now, task lists are task lists. They are definitely not OKRs. And the problem with drafting task lists and then calling it OKRs is we can simply tick the box. Can simply tick the box, achieve the OKR, but then ultimately maybe no impact was created. The silo effect in organizations is what a large number of, especially larger organizations, struggle with. And we can break down the silo effect to a high degree through the use of OKRs. not being focused. We have so many priorities, so many goals, generally speaking, in organizations. So it's hard to pinpoint what should we actually be truly focused on. Then a lack of discipline. Often when a deployment of OKRs fail, the first question we ask the company is, did you conduct your weekly check-ins? That's probably the most important factor in OKR success, is conducting thorough check-ins on a weekly basis. If you lack that discipline, if you are not able to introduce that discipline into your organization, into your OKR implementation methodology, then it's very hard to be sustainable with your OKRs and also successful. Then ownership, autonomy, creating self-organized teams might be a huge challenge because that's context dependent. If you operate within a traditional environment, that might be hard to do. And then at the lack of leadership, it is very hard to implement OKRs because OKRs, simply put, we say this tongue in cheek, do not achieve themselves. It requires the presence of strong leadership. An example would be some well-known entrepreneurs are known for the fact that they work shoulder to shoulder with their engineers, for example, when it truly matters. And then giving up when it gets tough. It's not a case of whether OKRs will get tough. They are far-reaching goals, moonshots, if you will, generally speaking. Therefore, the going will get tough. And we need to approach that with the right mindset from the onset. If we don't do that, then generally speaking, people will give up when the going gets tough. A quick study, and we can do. Harvard and Gallup discovered that 90% of employees need clear goals and direction to ultimately actualize the vision of the company. Now, this is particularly interesting because we need a high level of engagement from employees and team members to achieve our OKRs and goals. 85% of employees are not engaged at work. 90% of organizations fail to execute their strategy successfully. And 95% of employees are unaware or don't understand the organization's strategies. Let's quickly take a step back. 85% of employees are not engaged at work. What would the general reasons be for that, would you say? We just love volunteers at the OKR Institute, so anybody is welcome to speak up. What is your belief? Generally speaking, why are 85% of employees not engaged at work?
Hello?
Hi.
Yes,
Dr.
is it
Hassan?
probably because, yes, that's me. Is it probably that they do not share the same purpose with the organization? They feel they are not aligned?
Can be. They might not see the impact of their role on strategy and the vision.
Yeah.
That might be an issue. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else has an idea? The Harvard Business Review defines engagement as the degree to which employees identify with the company and its goals. Also, the degree to which they experience job satisfaction and are energized at work. And at the lack thereof, very hard to achieve far-reaching goals. Therefore, we need a focus on engagement to achieve our OKRs. Anybody else has an idea why employees are not engaged at work? Gone on to why do organizations fail to execute their strategy successfully? Over 90% fail at that. What do you believe would be general reasons for that statistic?
Maybe it's the lack of communication, the proper of communication, shaping the goals together with the between the upper layers and the lower layers of the organization.
That could definitely be a factor. Something that I would like to throw in the mix is the mindset required to create strategy at the highest level of the company often differ from the mindset when we execute, and strategies are often handed down, not co-created. And at the lower levels of the company, when we raise our hands to question the strategy because we need to understand it and to execute, that is often perceived as resistance to change at the highest level of the company. Therefore, we need to co-create strategy, and we need to present it in a simple way as choices, like our Netflix example. Netflix made a clear strategic choice, then it's simpler to understand and clearer then to align your OKRs there too. They made the strategic choice of creating their own original content versus streaming other studios' content. Then it's very simple to understand how to align our OKRs to that strategy. 95% of employees are unaware or don't understand, and that's what we just alluded to. If we don't co-create strategy, we simply hand it down. During an annual strategic planning session, we decide at the top level of the company what the strategy is, and then we simply hand it down. Then ownership of that strategy becomes problematic, because if we didn't co-create, it's very hard to see team members taking ownership thereof. Therefore, part of Agile, part of introducing an OKR methodology is to ensure that there is collaboration, not only when it comes to OKRs, but also when we create strategy. Therefore, executed in that way, OKRs form a strong bridge between strategy and execution. OKRs are all about prioritization. In preparation of an OKR drafting workshop, participants should arrive with already the top priorities of the organization in their mind and the top priorities at team level. In our OKR practitioners course, we have a list of best practices, and just to clearly state it here, we suggest up to 5 OKRs at strategic level and no more than 3 at team level. We truly measure what matters through OKRs. The foundation of OKRs is, first of all, company culture. That forms the context for OKR performance. If you operate within a toxic environment, low trust, poor work performance, everybody is either in their comfort or fear zones, it is extremely hard to pursue OKRs. The question or the FAQ usually then around this is, should we even start with OKRs if we have extreme problems with our culture? It's context dependent, but it's possible to execute in parallel and also change the cultural dynamics through OKRs. That's possible, but that's context dependent. Then employee engagement. We just discussed the Harvard and Gallup study around this. Of course, we need energized employees. We need employees that understand the vision. There needs to be clarity of vision. There needs to be clarity of strategy for employees to be engaged. They also need to be well equipped. The Boston Consulting Group, one of our clients, wrote an excellent article about a year ago. The title of that article was, "Your strategy is only as good as your skills." We can replace the word strategy with OKRs. Your OKRs are only as good as your skills. So employee engagement is also uplifted if we help them to upskill, to be able to meet the requirements of achieving an objective. Therefore, closely work with the HR department in doing skills assessments, skills requirement assessments of achieving our objective. Then performance management. Another frequently asked question that we get is, how does OKRs plug into performance management? But that's a long discussion that we don't have time for, but that's an interesting topic. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Again, we can replace strategy with OKRs in that statement as well. Culture eats OKRs for breakfast. If you operate within a toxic environment, we need a focus there on to change that, to change the dynamics as well. If not, our OKR deployment is at risk. Steve Jobs famously said, "In weak companies, politics or bureaucracy wins. In strong companies, ideas do." We need an open environment where ideas can be openly discussed and we can collectively arrive at solutions. I don't know about you, but in my career, it often has been the experience during meetings where one or two people do all the talking and the rest just nod their heads. Please do me a favor that the next time that happens to you, ask the participants of that meeting, what are you agreeing to? I can guarantee you 90% of the time they will ask you to repeat yourself, because that's the quickest way to make people stop talking, is just nod and agree. Therefore, we strongly encourage, and we have created a very effective communications model, which we share during our leadership course. Instead of nodding and agreeing, come prepared to OKR, any OKR meeting, whether it's an OKR strategic session, whether it's an individual coaching session, whether it's a check-in or review. Come prepared to those meetings with great questions, over with being prepared with what to say. Because great questions fosters collaboration, fosters solution-driven thinking. Simple questions, what and how questions. What can I better do as an or objective owner to better serve you? What can we change? What can we do to gain forward momentum on the key results that we have drafted? Simple what and how questions that will collectively drive us forward towards meeting the objective. Then there will be open sharing of ideas as well. John Doerr, the consultant that introduced OKRs to Google, famously said, OKRs are not silver bullets. They cannot substitute for sound judgment, strong leadership, or a creative workplace culture. But if those fundamentals are in place, OKRs can definitely guide you to the mountaintop. OKRs by itself, not the answer to every problem that you do have. You need strong fundamentals in place, such as a values-based culture, for example. When OKRs don't work, in our experience, when you try to control employees' activities, but that's down to a thorough education at the highest level of the company on OKRs. If there's a low level of understanding of how to deploy OKRs, the purpose of OKRs at the highest level of the company, and let's say we introduce OKRs at team level, and if the expectations of the OKR or the parameters of the OKR deployment is not immediately met, there's a lack of understanding at the highest level. Often they revert then back to command and control. A toxic culture, we already alluded to that. If there's too many focus areas, if you have 10, 15, 20 OKRs at strategic level and at team level, you also have 5, 6, 7 OKRs. That is extremely hard to even get started on. Too many focus areas. Then you are at risk. You are not measuring what truly, truly matters. Then a lack of trust. In the context of Agile, we frequently speak about speed to market, innovation rate. But that all is underpinned by good old-fashioned trust. If we are in a team environment and we're still figuring out who can we trust, etc., we're not sure who we can trust with certain information, then everything slows down. In a traditional organization, the culture generally is an environment of top-down structure, a command and control environment. Strategies are created through annual static planning and then handed down.
Sorry,
the tactics.
Sorry, Dirk, could you just go back to the earlier slide for a minute, please?
This one.
Okay, so when you say control employees' activities, to what extent do you really foresee the controls?
Okay, to what extent do I foresee the controls?
Yeah, so for example, if a company has, let's say, 8 layers of organization, so to what extent do you think we should do that? Or is it like a top-down or a bottom-up approach? Or do we look at something like that?
Well, it's a mixture, and it's also context dependent. So there's let's say an especially long answer to this actually, but let me give you the short and sweet version. It's context dependent. Let's say we are deploying OKRs in a very large organization and we have very little experience to none experience of OKRs.
Mm-hmm.
then there should be a measure of control initially, right? We can cascade OKRs. We can take a key result at the highest level, transform it into objective statement at the lower level. But ultimately, we do not tell employees what the key result should be and the action plan should be. There should be a level of autonomy, even in that context. If not, if we tell employees or team members, here's your objective, here's your key result, here's how you get there, then we're just reverting back to command and control, totally opposite or polar opposite to any agile methodology. Okay. Again, there's a very long answer to this because it's context depending on the size and of the organization, the experience of agile methodologies and OKRs is also at play. But that's the general answer. Hope that helps.
Sure. Thank you.
Let's continue. So we see tactics being deployed through big bets and very long feedback cycles, such as, for example, annual reviews. And operations happen through waterfall development and project management. Before the transformation from a traditional organization to an agile organization, we see top-down command and control structure, meaning that decisions, policies, budgets, power, deadlines, all handed down, and information is provided on a need-to-know basis. So information is stored somewhere, and if you're privileged to that information, you can retrieve it. On the other side of the coin, on demand from the top structure, reports, data, clear paths of accountability is demanded. In an agile, or contradictory to that, in an agile organization, we see aligned autonomy, clarity of vision, because OKRs make the vision and strategies transparent because it's aligned there too. Strategies are data-driven, iterative, and OKRs as well, we are validating hypotheses because nobody knows exactly what the future would look like. Tactics through safe-to-fail experiments and very short feedback cycles such as weekly reviews. Operations executed through agile development and applying a different complementary agile tools. After the transformation, we see clarity of vision, priorities clearly identified, meaning what activities, what projects, what initiatives would give the highest or provide the highest impact on the vision. We are clear on the impact of our roles on the vision. Information and context is provided from the top level, also empowerment, and a critical question in leadership: do you trust enough to be trusted? We as objective owners, we as executives need to show trust first. If we don't do that, how can we expect others at team level to trust us? Feedback and guidance is regularly provided. We often say, coach, don't criticize. Resolve impediments jointly. We are solution-driven within our OKR teams. And we help to establish cross-functional dialogue. This is typically how an OKR action plan is broken down. Right at the top, we have clarity of vision. We have our core values. Now, just a quick point on core values, and this is more the subject matter of our leadership course. We always talk about alignment when it comes to OKRs, alignment to the vision of the company, to the strategy, and also aligning team OKRs to strategic OKRs. But what is often not spoken about is to align OKRs to the culture of the company. And that can be done through a pragmatic value system, meaning we test all activities within our OKR framework against the value system of the company. A common value across the globe, a common company value is integrity. So when we start execution, we ask ourselves, can we execute with integrity? Can we execute according to our definition, internal definition of teamwork? But if it's just philosophical phrases up against the wall, this form of alignment will not be effective. Then we have strategic objectives aligned to the vision, mission, and company values and purpose. We have tactical or team objectives that in turn are aligned to strategic or higher level objectives. And our key results are the measurables that shows us, they are the guidance systems to show us if we are getting closer and closer to our objectives, especially when we write more leading indicators predictive of a future outcome. Then our tasks, initiatives, projects, prioritized tasks and initiatives or projects are aligned to key results. Now, a company vision is usually our one big goal for the next 3 to 10 years. Our annual objectives validity period is usually between 1 and 3 years, normally for an annual period. Objectives at team level or tactical objectives, the validity thereof could be 1 to 12 months, but usually quarterly at team level, dependent on the environment. If you are operating in a highly fast-paced environment, such as software development, the validity of objectives at team level might be for a month. We have key results. The measurables could be set monthly, quarterly, but usually quarterly at team level. And then we have our supporting action plan. That can consist out of weekly or daily tasks. All of this constitutes an OKR action plan. Now we put Mr. Elon Musk on a slide because he's extremely crisp and clear when it comes to alignment of OKRs to the vision of his companies, and also keeps it very simple. The vision of Tesla is to create the most compelling car company of the 21st century by driving the world's transition to electrical vehicles. Tesla's mission, accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. A sample of strategy, build electric cars for the higher prices segment before entering the mass market. And then a sample of an objective, build the most effective production line to reduce delivery time for customer and increase quality. Thereby, our objective aligned to the vision of the company. A Japanese proverb that we would love to share: vision without action is a daydream. Inversely, action without vision is a nightmare. All of us in our careers have seen grand visions. We have seen blueprints. We have seen action plans that never came to fruition. Because vision or strategies that's not immediately translated into action, actually the action plan should be part of the vision, should be part of the strategy. It should be included from the onset. That way, we are likely to gain traction on achieving the vision or strategy. Then action without vision. This is to prevent us from purely writing task lists or drafting output or action-based goals, such as create a new feature as an objective. We can just tick that box. We can create that new feature, but without creating any impact, yet we achieve the goal, right? That's the danger of having an output focus when you are drafting objective statements. Another interesting study that we would like to share, conducted by MIT Sloan, is the percentage of team members at different levels knowing or understanding the company's strategy or strategies. At top team level, surprisingly, only 51%. At senior executive level, only 22%. It gets worse. Middle management, only 18%, and at frontline supervisor level, only 13%. Back to our earlier discussion, this links to the Harvard and Gallup study. Over 90% of organizations fail to execute their strategy successfully. And if there's a low level of understanding of what strategy is, in our experience, when we ask companies, what is your strategy, they often provide us with a list of goals, tell us that our strategy is to become operationally more effective or efficient, or our strategy is to transform from a traditional organization to an agile organization. Now, all of those elements might be necessary or a requirement for the company, but at the same time, none of those that I mentioned is strategy. Strategy is how you differentiate yourself from the competition in a meaningful and impactful way, And also that points of differentiation must be preserved. That is strategy. Execution definitely does not like complexity. We need to keep it simple as we deploy OKRs. On the other hand, the two best friends of execution are transparency and simplicity. A high degree of transparency is required when we deploy OKRs. And let's say we're using an OKR software. At a touch of a button, I, as a team member, needs to see how my personal OKR impacts a team OKR, how team OKRs align to strategic OKRs, and ultimately how all of this aligns to the vision and strategies of the company. That level of transparency can be a motivating factor. OKRs therefore magnify the vision because it's aligned there to also the mission and strategies. Then a point that we made earlier, not too many OKRs. Your OKRs should truly reflect the top priorities of the company, top priorities at team level. Less is truly more. If everything is a priority, we're all over the show. Nothing is really a priority. Very hard to achieve 10, 12 OKRs at strategic level. Again, a best practice that we suggest, up to 5 OKRs at strategic level. When we do an implementation, literally top management needs to fight us for a 6 or a 7 OKR. Here's an example of a personal goal. Now, we all probably have experienced the following. We are very busy with work, very busy with our family life, but in the back of our mind, we have this nagging personal goal that we always wanted to pursue. But due to the reasons that I've just mentioned, we are not able to. But let's say all of us on this call, currently we are not running at all, but in the back of our mind, we have this big goal of running a marathon, always wanted to do it. That would constitute a stretch goal, right? Because currently we're not active at all. Therefore, most of us give up at some point because of all the reasons that we can provide not to do it. Busy at work, family life, etc. But if we choose the right cadence of breaking this goal down into achievable chunks and setting ambitious OKRs, it could look like this. Now, just a note on this. This is a very simple example, purely an introduction to a personal objective or personal OKR. The first quarter's underlying purpose is to trigger the right behaviors. Currently, we're not active, we're not running at all. So we can't expect to immediately be able to run a 10-kilometer race. We need to trigger the right behaviors. Therefore, the objective for the first quarter is build the foundation for a fitter me. You would see that foundation and fitter me is in bold because those form the key anchors from which we write our key results to validate the objective. Key result number 1, lose 3 kilograms. Key result number 2, increase stamina to reach my first 2-kilometer run. And I write a supporting action plan to each key result. Keep a food journal, start running 1 kilometer daily. Now, quarter 2, underlying purpose is guiding my focus. We triggered the right behaviors in the first quarter. Now we're guiding our focus. Get stronger and build endurance. An objective statement is a statement of desired outcome. You don't see any measurables in the objective because then we would be confused what is an objective statement and what is a key result. Key result number 1, go to the gym twice a week to increase my skeletal muscle mass from 15 to 17 kilograms. Key result number 2, bring my body mass index down from 36 to 28, and I write my supporting action plan to each key result. Quarter 3, now I have introduced the right behaviors. I've triggered the right behaviors during the first quarter, guided my focus during the second quarter. Now I'm sustaining the momentum I have built during the third quarter. Get stronger and build endurance. Now we are getting ready to compete in a 10-kilometer run, improve body mass index further from 30 to 25, and I write my supporting action plan. Quarter 4, now we are promoting mastery. We're really pursuing that final stretch. OKRs are stretch goals. Now the fit me is crushing it. Crushing, now you would see the objective statements generally are vague. statements of outcome, benefit that we want to create, value that we want to add, not output-focused statements. Crushing needs to be validated through our key results. It's a vague statement, right? So be under the top 20 in a 10-kilometer run, combined with improving my body mass index further from 25 to 18 would validate that I am crushing it. And I write my supporting action plan. This is a great way to prevent us from giving up, because we're breaking down this huge goal into achievable and measurable chunks. That way, rather than giving up, we are moving closer and closer to our ultimate destination through triggering the right behavior in the first quarter, guiding our focus in the second quarter, sustaining our momentum that we have built through the first 2 quarters, and then ultimately promoting mastery in the last quarter. Therefore, OKR is a goal-setting framework, a very simple system to create alignment to the vision and strategies of the company. Could also be alignment to the culture of the company. Uplift engagement. We need highly motivated employees that identify with the company and its goals. And this all happens around measurable and dynamic goals. A typical OKR cycle looks like this. We arrive at drafting sessions with our top priorities. OKRs must reflect our top priorities of the company. So firstly, we prioritize. We focus on those very few and top priorities. We immediately start with execution. If there's a huge gap between setting an OKR and starting execution, we are at high risk of the set it and forget it syndrome. And then we conduct reviews. Weekly check-ins, for example, and then quarterly reviews. Very short feedback cycles. The 4 steps to outperform and grow via OKRs. We set the vision, mission, core values, and strategies. Now, if you have already done that, it's a good exercise to gain clarity on what the vision is across the board. We set our objectives. We set our key results, and we create our action plan through setting tasks and initiatives. Now, if you have a look at the picture, you would see that the objective is represented by the red flag, and the key results is like a navigation system. It shows us, are we getting closer to ultimately achieving the objective? If you are using the app Waze or Google Maps, you are often asked to take an alternative route due to traffic congestion. Also, similarly, we might find during a check-in that a certain task is of much higher impact on the objective than we have expected, and we can easily turn that task into a key result, and that way we can iterate. A simple breakdown of what an OKR action plan is. The objective is ultimately the outcomes that we want to achieve. Key results, the measurables, and the action plan is what we will do. Prioritized action projects, tasks, initiatives that will help us to achieve our key results. We say this tongue-in-cheek, but introduce OKRs as vegetables, not like a chewy candy that you can consume within a few seconds. You need a couple of OKR cycles, maybe 2 to 5, to become truly proficient. You create your own OKR playbook that's unique to your company, because you need to consider your own complexities, your own culture. And you capture all learnings of your reviews and your weekly check-ins. And that way, we are well informed for the second quarter, even better the third quarter. It's like a muscle that you build over time. Now we have levels of OKRs. You have your individual or personal OKRs that is aligned to team or tactical OKRs, and they in turn are aligned to the organization-wide or strategic OKRs. But we do not recommend to immediately introduce individual OKRs, because they add another layer of complexity. And especially if you're truly new to OKRs, adding that other layer of complexity early stage might not be a good idea. They are too complex. It's another layer of alignment. Too much focus on the individual over the team. And they narrow employees down on outputs, the how to get there. Generally speaking, top objectives address the following 6 topics. Growth. This could be individual growth. If I'm drafting a personal OKR, this could be team, company growth related. OKR's agile goal setting methodology. So we are truly customer centric through the use of OKRs. We can also draft internal HR related OKRs focused on our own people, also our culture. Can also be a focus on optimization through our objectives, also on excellence and innovation. Here are examples of objective statements. Conquer the German market. Conquer is in bold because we need to validate through our key results and action plan what conquering actually means. If I ask everybody on this call, what does the word conquer mean? We might get different opinions. So generally an objective statement is vague. It's a statement of outcome. And outcomes mean what benefit do we need to gain for our stakeholders? What value do we need to generate through this objective? And then becoming a great place to work is an example of an internal HR related OKR. Great place is also subjective, and we need to validate what a great place means through our key results and our action plan. Same with make customers love our product. Love is also subjective. We define what customers loving our product actually means through our key results and our action plan. Now, when companies approach us and we ask them, what is your key priorities? What is your top objectives? They usually say our top objective is to increase sales, increase profit, also maybe to double our user base. But how do we dare say in response that those are weak objectives? I would actually say they are not objectives at all. They are not OKRs at all. But that could be frowned upon because every company on the face of the planet wants to increase sales, wants to increase profit. They are KPIs, measuring the health of your business. Strong objectives, outcome-focused objective statements, increase engagement on the website, which leads to more high-quality leads. That can in turn support your KPIs of increasing sales or doubling your user base. Launch an awesome minimum viable product that delights first adopters. Why are we hammering on the term outcome-focused goals? Because according to the Business Impact Report, results from analyzing over 40,000 goals across 3 years and across more than 3,000 teams has proven that you are 30% more likely on average to achieve goals with outcome management. Why? Because you are focused on the value that you want to create, the impact that you want to generate for all your stakeholders, and that is way more inspiring than drafting output-focused task lists as goals. Examples of good team objectives have a smooth buying process via sales automation. That's a sales-related objective. Marketing, drive brand awareness so that we become a category or market leader. HR, internal objective, attract talent and foster their skills. Software development, increase UI and say goodbye to bugs. Statement of outcome, value that we want to generate for our stakeholders. And the underlying part of the objective statement is the key anchors that we need to validate through our key results. What is a smooth buying process? How would we measure that? The same with being a category leader, for example. Another example, where do I need to go? That's my objective, become the market leader in my industry. And a sample of a key result could be increase monthly active users from 700K to 1 million. Here's another example of an OKR framework inclusive of key results. Make customers love our product. Love is in bold because we need to validate that through our key results and action plan. Increase our net promoter score from 8.3 to 9.2. Increase our Google review rating, for example, from 4 to 4.5, and reduce support reply time from 40 to 30 minutes. Combined, those key results could validate that customers actually do love our product. Now, a critical discussion to have is the difference between KPIs and OKRs and how they complement each other. Often, if we don't have those discussions early on, we would face a high level of resistance to the implementation, because influential team members might ask, and rightfully ask, we have been using KPIs for the past 2 decades. Why are you now introducing OKRs? We're just seeing it as more work. If we did not clarify the difference and how they complement each other, we might run into those conversations too often. Committed roof shots. 100% attainment is only viewed as an attainment. An output focus, business reflecting business as usual, those are KPIs. Aspirational moonshots, on the other hand, a 70% attainment is already seen as a high attainment because we're going way beyond business as usual. An outcome focus, future-directed goals and stretch goals, highly ambitious, those are OKRs. OKRs, a goal execution framework, because we have our objectives, key results underpinned by an action plan. Whereas KPIs measure the health of your business. They are health metrics, more EBITDA-related, growth, sales, etc. Very important measurements to have. OKRs, top-down approach, meaning we could cascade and take a key result at the highest level, transform it into an objective statement at the lower level. Bottom-up, meaning we draft a team level objective that is aligned to a strategic objective, and then we have a horizontal alignment, meaning cross-functional work. We could have also different key results owners from different departments in one framework, thereby fostering cross-functional collaboration. KPIs usually simply handed down, top-down only. OKRs are outcome-focused, focused on the value that we generate, the value that we add, whereas KPIs are output-focused, activity-based. OKRs are future-directed. KPIs measure past performance, so mostly lagging indicators. OKRs are inspiring towards a vision. They are aligned to vision, mission, and strategies, whereas KPIs are controlling and provides benchmarks. OKRs have a set time period. We have OKR cycles, could be quarterly at team level, could be annually at strategic level, but OKRs changes, and we follow an iterative process. KPIs measured on an ongoing basis. So quickly ask yourself, are you doing anything differently? Would that be a KPI or an OKR orientation? Definitely OKR. Is there already an established process that sounds like business as usual? So that would be KPI. Are we building, improving, or innovating? So then we are more future directed. So that would be an OKR orientation. Will we continue to do what we already are doing? That sounds like business as usual again. So that would be a KPI orientation. We'd just like to explain before we take any questions, OKR Institute certification path. We follow a highly practical approach. Our advantage, and we are very privileged in this, we have worked across over 50 countries, over 50 cultures, and worked with more than 500 organizations from all sizes, from startups to Fortune 500 companies with well over 100,000 employees. That empowered us to give to you what works through our practitioner course. So we have gathered all these best practices that actually work, and we have provided that to you in the form of a practitioner's course, a leadership course, and an OKR professional course. The subject matter of the practitioner's course, although there's much more to it, but the focus is how to draft powerful OKRs that align to the vision and strategy of the organization. How to draft outcome-focused OKRs. Because ultimately, when people start, they draft task lists, right? And that could just be ticked off. Actually, not worth it at all. So we teach you how to draft outcome-focused OKRs that align to the vision. Then the focus of our leadership course is broad, but key focus points is how to successfully lead the implementation of OKRs, how to align OKRs to the culture and the purpose of the organization as well. And we are very proud of the communications model that we have created, because that often causes the breakdown in OKR implementation is poor communication. So we have included a communications model in our leadership course that would help you to conduct coaching sessions and make them more effective, and to increase the effectiveness of all your OKR meetings. Your strategic OKR meetings, your town hall meetings around OKRs will then be strengthened. And our OKR professional session is around the coach model. So you will be a certified OKR coach upon achieving the OKR professional certification, a highly practical approach. So you will be coaching an OKR Institute panel. Also, we'll be conducting internal coaching. And there's also a few written assignments, all with a highly practical focus to empower you to deliver results for other organizations if you're an external coach, or to uplift the performance of your current organization. Here's a simple breakdown of the modules related to our courses. And this is all available to you online. But all of our courses a very practical approach. For example, in our leadership course, we will learn how to assess OKRs, how to improve them, how to iterate on them without telling others what to do, how to offer guidance and coaching on improvement. But as you can see, there's several points of discussion in all our courses. Please feel free to contact us if you need any further information on our courses or to book a course. There you can take a screenshot of this if you want to contact us. And now I would like to open the floor for any questions. You are welcome to put your questions in the chat, or you can also express them. Up to you. I see some questions in the chat. I was trying to register for foundation program and could not find the date. The foundation course does not have a date to it because it's a free course. You can immediately gain access to it and go through it. You don't have to register for a specific date. We still have the foundation program, yes.
How do you register? How do you register for the foundation program?
So you can simply go on our website, okrinstitute.org. Okay. You go down to courses, you will see a link to the foundation course. You simply click on it. You will be asked to put in your details. Then you will gain access and you can immediately go through it.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Would you be sharing the slides? No, we don't share the slides of the webinar. What about setting objectives for conglomerates or businesses with divisions in different industries? How does one approach this? It's also context dependent. I can just give you a general answer. If there's different business divisions, different business units, they would have their own OKRs. There might be sub-units in those business units, and they could also have their OKRs. But ultimately, all of those OKRs should link to the grand vision of the company. So that's a process that we go to ensure that business units, OKRs are aligned. So each individual business unit might have their own strategy as well. We need to ensure that our OKRs align to that strategy. I hope that answers your question. Does OKR Pro cover all? Please go ahead.
Does say thank you. Yes, that does answer it. Thanks a lot, Dirk. Sure.
Thank you very much for the question. The Does OKR Pro cover all other levels, or should we register separately for each level? So if you register and pay for the OKR Professional course, it includes the practitioner and the leadership course. If you want to follow a step-by-step approach, first only register for the practitioner, and then leadership, and then professional can also do that. That is entirely up to you. Would you do similar sessions for a company? Do you mean similar sessions like we just conducted?
That's right. Yes, like the webinar, like a 1-hour session. Would you do this like for a specific organization?
Yes, we regularly do that.
Okay, thank you.
We regularly do that. You can request that via email, or you can book a demo call on the website and we can discuss that.
Okay.
But the answer is we regularly do that. Anything else? More than welcome. All good? So gone. I want to sincerely thank you for your attendance. Hope you have gained some knowledge, and we hope to see you on our practitioner's course or leadership and professional. But please do stay in touch. We also, you are more than welcome, and this is on our website. We have an OKR Heartbeat community. We regularly have talks around hot topics in the OKR world, such as ESG, OKRs. Our upcoming talk is Rabobank, who have successfully introduced OKRs at scale, as well as Agile at scale. So that would be highly informative, especially if your organization's going through the same challenges. So with that, sincerely thank you for your time. If there's no further questions, we will end the session. I wish you a great day.